I want to thank everyone for attending today. I want to thank the Alliance and all the partners for giving me the opportunity to actually be here to speak to you today. We're going to talk about online mapping and spatial resources for the private landowner. My name is John Gilbert. A brief outline for what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at a brief introduction and some objectives, and then I'm going to give you an overview of online mapping and spatial resources. We're going to concentrate a little bit more on a couple of different programs and web applications. One's going to be the USDA NRCS Web Soil Survey, Google Earth, Alabama Historic Photo Archive, the USDA NRCS Geospatial Data Gateway, the USDA National Agroforestry Center's program Canvis, and then we're going to do some questions and answers towards the end and hopefully give you a good introduction to online spatial resources. My background, I'm a research associate here at Auburn University in the School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences and work in the Longleaf Pines Dynamics Lab. For the past few years, I've actually been working on a stand-level GIS database for longleaf pine, and through doing that, I've worked with landowners from, or land managers from the federal level down to private landowners, and that's what got me interested in this, is seeing the need for more information about online spatial resources, because people were interested in making maps, people were interested in doing things for their property or the property they manage, but they didn't really have a good way to start. And so with that, I was going to ask, we've already had the answer to question one because Sarah polled it, but two questions I also want you to think about as we go along today is, why are you interested in online mapping, and what types of maps are you interested in creating? So our objectives today, attendees will be introduced to online programs and spatial applications to acquire spatial data, to make maps, and maps using aerial photography, soils information, and topographic layers for a variety of forestry and other natural resource-based activities. Attendees would be introduced to ways that they can create, store, and share points, lines, and polygons for features on the ground. And attendees will also get an overview of additional online spatial data resources and some visual actual simulations. Today, and you probably don't need me to tell you, that's probably why you're here. You're in a rapid expanse of technology. Things are moving almost faster than we can keep up. GPS, global positioning systems, GIS or geographical information systems are becoming the rule rather than the exception. Especially for conservation professionals, it's a tool that needs to be in their toolbox. Private landowners are the same way. These tools are out there, often free and easy to get to, and it's becoming the rule rather than the exception. Something that people need to get involved with so they can make better decisions about management of their property. So this is another area where we can do some polling. So with a show of hands, how many of you have ever used a GIS? Let's give it a second for everybody to answer and see what the poll looks like. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to respond. Sarah, will we be able to see these as we go, or look at them later?
It looks like about 46. I counted them.
Okay. Thank you. So moving on to the next question, how many of you have ever used a GPS unit? And just to talk to you as you're doing this, I hate dead air. So, you know, as we're asking these questions, we're sort of stepping you down, and generally from what people consider the most complex down to things that, you know, are a little bit easier to deal with, and going to interest to see how the numbers will actually pick up. People often hear GIS and sort of glaze over, and that's too difficult. Yeah, but we use a GPS unit or use some of these online programs. And so that's why we're actually stepping through and talking about these to sort of help. It helps me get a feel, you know, for what you know and what you're interested in. So we got about 50 on the GPS unit. So how many of you have ever used MapQuest or maybe Google Earth or some type of online program just to get directions? And it's seen with 60, we generally pick up more people, and that's what, if you've ever used MapQuest or Google Maps, you know, one thing I want you to think about, you've used the GIS, and so that's something that people generally overlook, but you've actually used it. The same concepts apply to things like, and that's going to be the next question, how many of you have ever used Tattoo GIS, FGIS, or even ArcGIS, any of the ones? Those are considered a little bit more formal GISs, but it is still the same concept, and a lot of the same applications still apply. So as you're answering that, I'm going to move on to the next page and talk to you a little bit more. So we got 45 on that, so not as many. So again, the bulk came from the programs like MapQuest and Google Earth. So as we're thinking, spatial opportunities are out there. What can you use these tools for? You know, it could be everything from basic navigation to identifying site and stand locations, to be able to utilize, and this is a key concept that we want to talk about numerous times as we go through this, to be able to utilize both tabular and spatial data. Spatial data is just where you are, or where a stand, or where a piece of property is in the world. And the tabular data is any type of descriptive information. Could be the name of the tract, could be the acreage, could be, you know, more information about the composition, you know, what timber type or something like that. Again, that's the power of this, is to be able to store them both in the same location. And taking these types of information, you've got more opportunities for planning and management activities. Another thing we really want to talk about today is being able to store and actually share this type of information. And so a lot of these tools are often online and free. So we're going to talk numerous times about identifying areas of interest. By areas of interest, these are just some examples. Timber stands, roads, gates, streamside management zones, actual stream crossings, logging decks or hazards, food plots, a special part to your burn plan, or even maybe trying to get an idea about an agroforestry silvopasture area you might either have or want to install. And so again, these are just some examples. You need to think about, you know, what are some areas of interest you would like to put on a map and store some data with. And so that brings up, you know, why are you interested? So you've got an idea of things you want to have on the map, but why are you actually interested in them? Is it simple monitoring and planning, or are you looking more towards, you know, more complex natural resource management for forest land or timberland production? Are you looking for agriculture, non-timber products, leases, or what really we hope to capture in this group is some type of multiple use management, being able to tie these separate things together in one place where again, you can have a better idea how to plan and monitor your activities. So what about spatial resources? As we talked about, you know, often GIS is only thought of as a tool to make a map, and that is a truly valuable product of GIS, and one of the most commonly thought products. We're going to concentrate today on maps and talk quite a bit, but I want you to take GIS a little bit farther. An actual form of definition from Esri is that Geographical Information System is defined as an integrated system of computer hardware, software, data, and workflow procedures for collecting, storing, analyzing, disseminating information. What I want you to take away from this is not the full formal definition, but that GIS gives you the ability to put spatial and descriptive data, again, that information, stand names or acreages, in one location where you can then store it and share it. So how can this help you? These systems can give you the ability to upload GPS data, to create maps, to store spatial information, to calculate areas, acreages, to conduct some simple analysis, and even to be able to build databases. There's a lot of opportunities out there. So again, there are a lot of different types of maps, but we're going to concentrate on these using the online programs we'll talk about. You know, a basic stand map. You've got a boundary for a timber stand. Want to be able to put an aerial photo behind that, a topographic layer, a soils layer. You know, in my opinion, any land manager or landowner, these are the basic maps you need to start in any of your planning or management activities. Basic things: what's out there, what's the terrain look like, what's the soils there. Again, just those basic maps that anyone needs to start with. Take it even farther. There's actually software out there where you can do some visualizations. You can do simulations, produce a 3D stand. There's also, and we'll talk more, the bottom section is more what I want to give a quick introduction to as we move forward with this, is to be able to edit digital pictures. You could take a picture of an area you would like to do some changes to, and then with the program we're going to talk about, you're able to add in trees or roads or take trees out and be able to see the difference. And so that's the thing I think for private landowners or conservation professionals that are looking to make some on-the-ground choices, it gives them a visual to see with that to help them make or enable them to make their decision. So, you know, with talking about all the things you can use this for, landowners are often interested but skeptical. And so, again, these are, if you'd like to answer them, you're welcome to, if Sarah can tabulate it. Otherwise, these are just questions I want you to think about. You know, I assume you're here because you've been interested at some point of making a map for your property or for something, you know, your property you own or your property you manage. Generally, people are worried that it might be too technical or complicated. You know, and so that's a common barrier that we hope, I hope that the presentation today will get over that. And so the other question is, do you have a computer and internet access? And one of the caveats I would like to put with this is, and this was brought up at another meeting I was given, if you have dial-up internet access, that might be a problem. Some of these programs may take a little bit to be able to download. It may be slower. It may cause some problems. So internet access, it depends on the speed and what you actually want to do. So again, just a little caveat. So what we're going to talk about today is we actually put together a booklet. It's called Online Mapping Your Land, an Overview for Landowners. Online Mapping and Spatial Resources Private Landowner. We got funding from an Alabama Forest Forever grant, and we were able to print 225 copies. And these are, and this presentation will be posted so you can get to the link, but you can always search out the Lonely Pines Dynamics Lab website. We have a PDF posted out there. What we did is we as I talked about it, I've worked quite a bit with landowners, and this was a question that came up: how can we make maps for our property? How can we store information? So we put in a proposal to the Alabama Forest Forever grant, and to actually put together a booklet that highlights some examples of programs and online applications where you can actually make the maps that we're talking about and be able to store and share this type of data. So this booklet is designed for private landowners and conservation professionals. It provides tutorial information that will help users make maps, acquire and store data for an area of interest. It's composed of 5 different sections, and each section has keywords, homepage links, tutorial information, examples, screenshots, and tips. And the reason we have so much in there, we wanted to be able to give you some directions of how to move forward on some of these programs or online applications, give you examples of what you will actually see with screenshots, so you can actually see what the screen will look like as you move through the examples that we give you. And again, tips to help you move through any kind of roadblocks. And so in the booklet, you'll see ovals and lines for highlighted information. We've also got tips and suggestions labeled in red print, and this is an example over on your right of an actual page out of the booklet. One thing we wanted to do is to be able to create a product for landowners that had very little to no computing experience. So we go all the way back with basic instructions like clicking, double-clicking, right-clicking, click and drag. Again, to help get over some of those roadblocks to get individuals more to be able to use these tools. We also put in information about warnings and issues with browser settings, and links to additional programs that are out there that could be supplemental to this or take you in another direction if that's what you're interested in. The one thing we want to do is a disclaimer. All these examples and suggestions are for educational purposes only. No guarantees of any kind. You as a user assume the risk for downloading, saving, or using these programs, and you're also responsible for the needed level of accuracy. The reason we just want to say that these are examples. We wanted to get you started. We're not, pushing any of these products. We just, again, wanted to show you some things that are out there and hopefully get you more interested in online spatial applications and data. One thing I will say is that these website programs, applications are constantly changing and being updated. The links and screenshots may not always exactly match what we've been able to put together in this booklet, and because updates are always completed, the programs are getting better and better. Within a year, we've already had some changes, and they're adding to them. So today's presentation, we're going to follow the layout of the booklet, take an in-depth look at the Web Soil Survey, Google Earth, and the Alabama Historic Photo Archive. And then we're going to give you an overview of the Geospatial Data Gateway and the National Agroforestry Center's Canvis. So the Web Soil Survey. This is what you will look at when you actually start it up, and we'll go through each program or application, and we'll talk about the basics of it, show you some examples, and talk about how to move through and get some of the data you might be interested in. So the Web Soil Survey is an online application. It gives you the ability to locate a piece of property or an area of interest. You can create a boundary for that area of interest, display soils information with aerial photographs or topographic layers, and the soils information, of course. You're able to create maps, and you're also able to create detailed reports, or basic, depending on what you're interested in. Here's the link to actually get to the Web Soil Survey. It's a great resource, and again, all the links will be provided when you can get to this, or you can go to our website and download the PDF version to be able to get to them. So some more questions. Has anyone ever used the Web Soil Survey before? And it's more of an open-ended question for you to think about. What applications have you used it for, and what would you might think you might do in the future? The other question is more open-ended and not easy to tally is, why are soils maps and information and that type of information important to forestry and other natural resources? Again, knowing what's there on site, what the soils are, can give you an idea of productivity, can give you an idea of what the site can actually, species it can grow, and things like that. So just things to think about. That's hitting the high points for actually soils. If you go to the actual link, you're able to, there's a big green button. If you go to the link, it says start the WSS or the Web Soil Survey. Once you get started, then you're in, and this shows you a couple of sites. You actually saw the initial page when we first started the information on the Web Soil Survey. And this is another, the page you see on the right is actually out of the booklet. And so we start at the beginning. You see that green button, things are circled, you hit that, you see the screen. Tells you the first thing you got to do is search for your area of interest, and then you're going to define that. We spend a lot of time in the booklet talking about all the different tools. If you see down at the toolbar at the bottom, we describe each tool, how to use it, and what you might use it for. With the mapping basics and finding an area of interest, this is a roadblock that landowners tend to come to. How do I find it? Well, actually, the Web Soil Survey has a really great intro screen for this. It gives you the ability, you can put in your address, you can put in your section, township, and range, you can put in coordinates, and they can be lat and long or UTM. And that's what we often use GPS data to, to make maps of locations of interest and need to know, what units are used to collect data. So one caveat I always want to put is to know your units. Know what your coordinates are coming in. So that way, when you move from the GPS to an online application like this, you're able to know where you are. And not moving around in South America because you have the wrong coordinates, the wrong projection. So for today, we're going to concentrate on all our examples are going to be for the Donahue tract. And this is just an example tract located on Auburn University's campus. It's at the intersection of Donahue Drive and Woodfield Drive. That just helps you find out where it is when you're trying to locate it. All that's described in the booklet. And again, we wanted to use a consistent example throughout the booklet, so landowners or conservation professionals could sit down, follow the booklet for the example, see what the output's going to be, and then be able to again apply that to the work, their property or a project they're working on. So to define your area of interest, once you find your piece of property, like if you look here, we found the Donahue tract. And then you're able to actually, if you look at the button here, this is where you can define your area of interest, and you can actually do a pretty complex polygon and actually trace, around. So you'll be tracing your stand boundary if you can see it well in the aerial photo. You can also, if you look next to it, there's actually another button where you could just highlight a big area, and I'll show you examples of both of that. Once you highlight your area of interest, you're then able to turn on the soils information. You get the soil type. It gives you the total acreage that you've actually highlighted or traced around, and then it breaks it down and tells you how much soils or what soil type is in each proportion or each portion of that tract. Once you do this, you can then create a printable version of the map. If that's all you want to do is just have a map, and I've got examples. It produces a very professional map that's great for sharing. You can also, if you don't want just a printed version, you can also save maps as a PDF or portable document format, again, that you can store on your computer or email to someone. If you want to go farther than that, you can create custom reports. Again, everything that comes out of the Web Soil Survey, in my opinion, is very professional. It's a great report, and we'll actually take a look at some examples next. This is an example of what map will come out with for the Donahue tract. It gives you, it's got a north arrow, scale bar, gives you the ability to put the title in, a very professional map, great resource. If you look down here at the bottom, it's a little small, but that's actually your table that goes with it. I wanted to put this in so I could just show it as one slide. That's actually, when you print it out, comes on a separate page, and it's a lot bigger and easier to read. I just wanted you to be able to see the visual. We talked about the two different ways. One, to do a complex polygon around a stand. You can also, again, highlight a big area. This is soils information for 2,000 acres. And so, again, just a great way to look at a larger area and see what's out there. The custom reports we talked about. They can be saved, printed, and emailed, following the same directions as that printable version. Custom reports can provide more detailed information about the soil survey, map units, or descriptions. So if you're not familiar with working with some of the soil surveys, you can actually turn on a glossary. You can turn on different descriptions and get a pretty thick packet of information that will help you be able to understand more about what the soils are and how they were collected, and everything that goes into that report. This is an example of the PDF. This was one of the ones, again, adding some of the different pieces. That was 16 pages. If you want to go beyond just soil types and you want to look farther, the next step is actually you can use something called the Soil Data Explorer. Again, it gives you more of an introduction to soils, more topics. I pulled out two examples, and I'll show maps to go with this. You're able to pull out suitabilities and limitations for use. You're able to look at land management. What if you're interested in haul roads or log loading, landing limitations? What if you're interested in vegetation productivity? Like site index. Again, these are information that are in the soil survey, and you have the ability to pull this information out and make maps with it. You can go farther and look at soil properties and qualities and individual soil reports. Here's the suitabilities and limitations ratings. Again, all the different topics you can look at, and when you click on the topics, it gives you a whole list of more things you can look at. So again, it's just something for you to think about as you're making maps for your property, and again, want to take a more in-depth look at some of the soil characteristics. This is an example of a site index map that you can make. This is, again, another large rectangular area we pulled out real quick, but again, it produces the map and the report I talked about. You can do either or. If you're interested in the haul roads and log landing applications, again, it gives you the one. Everything in the green's pretty good. The wet areas down the red are not areas that you would like to put in haul roads or log landing limitations. Again, if you're interested in planning or working with your forester or a logger on your piece of property, you can, again, use this to help dial in some of these questions you might have. Another key point is that you can actually adjust the map legend. So you can change options like the area of interest, political features, federal land, water features, transportation and background. And one of the key things is a map can be created with the topographic background. So looking at the same tract, we're able to turn on, if you look at the over to the left, well, first if you click the legend, that's the button there, and again, this is the way it's highlighted in the booklet. Things are circled, and then we try to help you move through with the word directions and then the pictures that go with it. So you can see over here that you can check the box next to topographic map and be able to turn this on or off. One of the key things that from some of the initial work we did with some landowners working with this, they like to turn off everything and just have their stand boundary, make that as their first map. Then they turn on the aerial photo, they've got that map, they turn on the topographic layer, they've got that, and they've got the soils. So this one program can make all of the different map types that we talked about and really want to concentrate on today. In my opinion, I think the Web Soil Survey does a wonderful job of tips and troubleshooting. If it's not working, they have help pages, wanting to help, frequently asked questions, more instructions. I've actually got a PDF out there. And again, it can help you get through some of the problems. You know, a pop-up blocker sometimes stops people. You may need to change settings with that. The booklet can help you, and then for more in-depth information, you can go to their website. And again, they cover it too. And again, great resource. And they've run into a lot of problems, and they've actually put together very good directions to help you get over those. So, you know, I want you to be thinking, you know, what are some applications that you might be able to see to be able to use this program or online application for, and you know, what would you actually use it for? Hopefully, from the introduction, you'll be able to take away some ideas that you know you could use it to, you know, work on some of your stands or be able to put together some of these maps as part of your management plan. Our next program we're going to concentrate on is Google Earth. And this is your initial page once you've downloaded and bring Google Earth up. As we talked about, Google Earth requires downloading a program. It gives you the ability to locate a piece of property or an area of interest. One of the great things I also like about it is you're able to store location and descriptive information. And you can create place marks or points. So you can put a point in for a gate, for a deer stand, start of a path, anything for a discrete area on the ground. And you can store information with that. And we'll show examples of each of these as we go through the portion of the presentation for Google Earth. You're also able to create paths or lines. That could be for roads or for streams. You can create boundaries, areas, polygons, anything for like a timber stand, a field, or you know, an actual food plot. You're then you can create maps, you can get directions. Google Earth is a pretty robust program. It looked from the numbers, I think a lot of you have used. There in the booklet, we've got the main website where you can go to Google Earth. It's free to use, but it requires software to be downloaded, installed, and again, that internet connection to be able to run it. And there's information again for the download and for the web page. System requirements. You can use Google Earth on PCs, Macs, or even Linux systems. We put some of the basic needs out there for your computer, but again, I would suggest going to the bottom link and be able to get more detailed information about the minimum operating system requirements and more information about the program, because again, it's continually be updating and new versions are coming out. So, I guess a question, has everyone used Google Earth before? We asked this sort of in the early, and you know, things for you to think about. If so, for what applications? And I want you to think about, you know, for Google Earth, you may have used it for directions or to find a piece of property, but have you ever used it to store points, lines, and polygons, or even attribute data or that descriptive data we talked about for a particular area? So as you're working on answering some of that, great, I'm seeing people pop up, yes, slots, directions, area photos, or aerial images, projects. So people have been using this. That's good to hear. You know, Google Earth provides area photography as a background with options to add a lot more layers. You can use Google Earth to locate you know, a piece of property or an area of interest. You can, again, as we talked about, store that location and descriptive information. You can create place marks or points, paths, or lines. boundaries or areas, and again to be able to get those directions. The booklet, this is another page out of the booklet. We go through talking about how to navigate, how to use the toolbar to turn the map in different directions, how to move the view, how to zoom in, how to zoom out. Other options, how to use your mouse to be able to drag. You can also use keyboard commands, and so everybody's a little bit different on how they like to navigate, but we just want to show you sort of the overall view and what you can do. Coordinates and units. This is often a overlooked page. As we talked about earlier, and I think there was a little bit of questions back and forth about, what are coordinates, what are UTM, and so if you're using your GPS, you can go in and actually, I would suggest you take a look at your GPS, see what the coordinates system is, what units are being used, and match it to Google Earth so your data will match. Again, that we can talk more about that in questions later on, but I just want you to know that the option's out there. You can also make some other changes and adjust, how often it reloads, how good the graphics are, and be able to change a lot of those different settings. Layers. As we talked about, there are quite a bit of different types of layers out there that you're able to turn on and turn off. Borders and labels, roads. Again, you can turn on the state layers. You can turn on different cities. In some areas, you can get 3D buildings in more urban areas. Again, the one thing I want you to take away from this is I encourage you to search through these different layers. Turn them on, turn them off. See what's out there for your piece of property. So let's get a little bit more in depth and talk about how to, or the points, lines, and area, things you can create for geographical places on the ground. As we talked about, you can create place marks or points. Any discrete place on the ground. You're able to, for everything you can create, you can change the shape, you can change the color, and if you look over here, you can actually add the descriptive information. You can type in, history of the track, or what's on there now. Anything you would like to put, you can actually type in. Again, points. You could put a point like this in the middle of the Donahue tract. You could put a point in the center of the tract. You could put it at a point for a food plot, shooting houses, or buildings. Anywhere you want to put one discrete place on the ground. Lines can be done the same way. You actually click along and actually trace something. If you look over here on the slide, we actually put in, there's a trail that runs right down from the north portion of the tract. Again, you've got the same options you have with points. You can change the shape of the line, the color, and store that descriptive information. Lines could be anything from roads to streams, and the way I tell people to differentiate between a line or an area, if you want the distance instead of acreage, you want to use a line. Polygons, and this is one, again, for those stand boundaries that we talked about, some of those initial maps. I think this is one really wanted to concentrate more on. Again, you can change the color or the shape of it. One thing I would also suggest doing is, as you're tracing it out, change it to a hollow so you can actually see through the stand, and it's not like this where it actually covers it. And again, you're able to add more descriptive information. And I think that's a great thing, and I think, especially for private landowners, what's out there on the ground, or for land managers for that fact. What's out there, and this gives you the ability to store that information and share it with others. And I think that's a great way. You could highlight your timber stand, your food plot, a pond or lake, and again, anything that you would want an acreage, I suggest doing a polygon or an area. So as we talked about, this gives you the ability to store and share. Points, lines, and polygons can be saved as their .kml, which is keyhole markup language, or a KMZ file. Again, these are just extensions, just like for Excel, it's a .xls. These are what Google Earth uses as their actual file type, and it comes down to your preference of which one you use, and I'll leave that to you to take a look a little bit more in depth as you're using it. These files can be edited and updated. So if you draw a boundary for a track and something happened that changed, or you want to add something to the side, you can go back in and edit the actual boundary and update that. You can update the the description information. One of the great things is being able to share this. You can right-click and all this is described in the booklet, you can right-click the actual KML file and email it directly out of Google Earth as an attachment. And so I think that's a great thing. So if you want to, you could use this for private landowners to communicate with your forester or your wildlife biologist. You can send it to your neighbor, your children, your friend, and again, you could go out and you could go around the boundary of an area you're interested in planting and send that to somebody. You can get, it's just a great way to be able to store that information and then share it with others so they can see what you're working on. There's a tool, we're going to highlight a couple of tools. One of the tools is you can actually measure a distance. And so when you click on the measure tool, it's sort of hard to see in this, but you're able to choose, you can do a line or a path, and you can adjust your units, feet, meters, miles, whatever you're interested in and whatever size of a piece of area you're looking at. With that, you know, using that ruler, if it's a square area or you like doing math, you can get an area or acreage for that, you know, that tract, doing a little math. Otherwise, there's a more advanced version of Google Earth called Google Earth Pro, and it actually has an area feature tool, but it requires you to purchase a license, and we describe this in the booklet and give you the ability to, or give you the link where you can download. Another thing that's highlighted in the booklet, and we're actually going to show you a couple of slides here today that are not in the booklet, for a program called GEPath, and it's a freeware. We've got a link of how to download it. And again, files for this is one time where the actual extension or how you save your file becomes important. And so this is a screen that comes up for GEPath, and the next one shows what it actually does. It actually takes everywhere you click, it takes those coordinates, and it calculates the area for you and provides it. So the area here is 21.99 acres. So again, this is another program that can be used, it can be compatible with the free Google Earth version, and so you can use it to get acreage, or you could purchase the Google Earth Pro and use it directly with Google Earth. So again, just wanted to show you some options. This is a question that comes up quite a bit with landowners. You know, I highlighted the boundary of my stand, how many acres is it? And again, remember to keep this as, you know, how accurate that is, that's your responsibility and how you use that. Some additional options that are out there, you know, you can actually add GPS data. There's a link to do that. Some of you potentially have used Google Maps. You can actually view what you're doing directly in Google Maps. So there's a button to hit that to launch it using internet connection. Another thing that's pretty cool, they added a while ago, is you're able to view aerial photographs over time. So you can actually go back in time. And that's pretty cool to be able to create a little timeline and click through and watch how it's changed. The next program we'll actually talk about is another way to do that. Depending on where you are, there is varying how many years of aerial photos it has out there and what you have access to. You know, as we go back to our list of maps, you know, with Google Earth, you're able to create your stand map. You're able to get the aerial photo. Another thing you can do is you can actually get the topographic map. So we list another link where you can go to an online site and download and be able to, wherever you click, it will give you the the topo layer as a background. And so you're able to turn that on and off. And so again, just another cool thing about Google Earth that you can do. As we talked about taking storage and sharing a little bit farther, you can print maps. The maps are everything's highlighted over here in red. Again, a very professional map. You get a north arrow, scale bar, and one thing I want to highlight to you is you know where that information is coming from. Image of these maps, you can save it as a JPEG, just as a regular image. You can send these to others through email or post them online. And again, the other benefit is you can post the image, or you could actually send them the point, line, or polygon that you've created, which all that descriptive information that you'll type in goes with it. I think this is a great resource again for landowners to be able to do things like you could build this is an example of what you could do with a database, or build simple databases using Google Earth. We've got a couple of different stands highlighted out here. I actually put this in. This was an area that was burned, and tried to show where you could actually put in your, if you had a GPS with you, or you could actually measure out where you put in your actual lines of fire. so your firing technique. You can highlight smoke-sensitive areas. Everything from stand management to being able to burn. Again, it gives you the ability to store all this information, and not just spatially where it is in the world, but also be able to tie that descriptive information to it. So what I want you to take away from this is, what are some applications that you see this program can be used for, and what would you use it for? Again, Google Earth, like the Web Soil Survey, they have a great help menu out there. They have great tutorials that take you more in depth and can help you move forward on some of these projects. The booklet just helps you get started. There's a lot more information out there to really go farther and create some really nice products. Our next program or online application is the Alabama Historic Aerial Photo Archive. And for the booklet, this is the only thing that pretty much concentrates on Alabama. The rest of it can use throughout the nation. With this, again, it shows the state, and as you scroll over the different counties, or you can click on them, it sort of gives you a mosaic of the historic aerial photos. Again, this is an online application. You can view historic aerial photos and actual order digital copies. Here's our page going out with our keywords and taking you to the main website. There's the photographic index, and there's actually archive. The archive is what we'll be concentrating on, and you can look. They have quite a bit of other maps out there, and so you're able to really view a lot of different things outside of even Alabama. They also have a very nice help menu, which we give you links for. So again, we're going to concentrate on Lee County because that's where the Donahue tract is located, and I'm going to give you some examples of what you could pull out. This is the page that comes up, and you got Lee County, and then it gives you a nearby location, and then a list of years that are available that you can look at online. And so when you click on the year, you then get the aerial photo and take a look at it. Use the archive to find the photos for your property or area of interest. See how many years of photos you can find. And it gives you the ability to create a photo timeline for your property to see how it's changed. And some things I want you to think about is what was on the property before you had it, or how has it changed over time. These are some reasons you can use aerial or historic aerial photos. I think it's a great resource, and I love tracking it down for the property I grew up on. So this is what comes up. This is Auburn. So if you click on Auburn and 1973, this is the mosaic that comes up. You've got a toolbar down here at the bottom, and again, the booklet helps you move through how to zoom in, zoom out, and move around. And so what you have to do is you pull up the photo, and then you have to search out your piece of property. So I zoomed in, and this is the Donahue tract, if you can see it on here. So this is what that Donahue tract looked like in 1973. So moving back, we're able to pull up what the Donahue tract looked like in 1958, same place. And you're able to see how things have changed around. And actually we can go back, this is the Donahue tract in 1939, and you can see some of these go back to the historic, the forestry plots that have been done with the department here. Again, going back quite a ways. So 1939, I think that's really cool to be able to pull up photos like that and see how it's changed. If you find photos you like and you want to be able to take these, have these as JPEGs, what I've been showing you so far is just what comes up and what you're able to view. You can you can purchase the actual photos. You can then georectify or put those in real space and be able to use them on your GIS or again just to have. To purchase the copies, you can download that bottom link shown here is where you can download your request form. And so you fill out the required information, follow the directions for purchasing the copies. One of the caveats I like to put with this is that if you are unable to find an area of interest, send an email to the link we have, and this again is in the booklet, with the location description and or coordinates, and see if there are more photos available. They may not always be posted online, so that's a good thing to think about. Is if you can't find your area, send a request to this email and tell them what you're looking for. If you can provide the coordinates, that'd be great. You could get coordinates from your GPS unit or using Google Earth. Again, products out there for you to be able to tell them what you're looking for. So don't get discouraged if you can't find it. Our next program, the next two, we're going to give a little bit more of an overview just to show you what they are, and we're not going to be able to get as in-depth. This is the USDA Geospatial Data Gateway. This is an online application to help you search for data. It does require a type of GIS user, and it is for more advanced users. The reason we have this in the booklet is, again, we're trying to contact and help as many different types of landowners from different levels of knowledge. You know, a lot of questions come up that, you know, I'm using a GIS, but I can't find any data. And so that's what we want to hope to provide is someone that's looking to go to that next step. How can they get the data to be able to utilize the data that's out there online? So it gives you the ability to search for aerial photos, topographic maps, elevation information, soils, land use, land cover, geology, climate. There's a whole list of data that's out there, again, that's really free for you to be able to access. As we talked about, it is for more advanced users. You need some type of a GIS package or viewer that's out there. I'll actually give some examples as we move through this. Here's our home page, our keywords, and frequently asked questions. Again, NRCS is the same group that puts out the Web Soil Survey. This is they have a great help session, tutorials, and again, frequently asked questions to help you get through any roadblocks you may have for getting started. Data does vary by state and county. This is, again, that list we're talking about. You're able to download aerial imagery, topo maps, elevation, land use, land cover, geology, soils. You can actually download climate information, precipitation or temperature. It really depends on what you're interested in and what types of data layers you'd like to put together for your project or area of interest. This is the user interface screen where, this is where there's a down arrow right over here where you can select the state. You can move over here and actually select one or numerous counties using the arrows to move those into the ones you want to select or move them back out if that's what you choose to do. This is the list that comes up for Alabama and Lee County. Again, it shows you the year. Looking up here for the imagery, you're able to get 2006, 2009 photos. It goes through the whole list of data that's out there. I chose an example. Whatever you want to choose, you just click the check next to the data layer you're interested in. I clicked one for the soil survey, the Surgo data. Again, just a soils layer to be able to pull that in. Going back, you can choose if you know your projection, you can choose your projection, whether you're interested in coordinates or UTM. Another thing that I really want to talk about is the delivery method. I suggest if you have the internet capability to use the FTP or file transfer protocol, where you can actually download the data online. Another thing is you can order a CD or DVD, but notice that those come with a charge. And so the FTP is free, and you can utilize your internet access. If you're interested in this type of, again, moving the step up, these are actually in the booklet. These are examples of viewers that you can get. Tattoo, Arc Reader, FGIS. And again, these are just examples. There's quite a few viewers out there, GIS systems that you can use this with. We just wanted to give you a few examples to help get you started. This is just one source of data. There are a lot of other places out there. I suggest anytime you're ever looking for data, always start by looking online and seeing what's out there available and free before you start buying data. The Alabama Cooperative Extension Service, under the Alabama Water Quality Information Systems, they have quite a bit of information. The GIS Data Depot is another one. Landsat. These, again, are just some examples of what are out there, but to help you get started, there's a lot of online data out there that's free. So our last program that we're going to talk about is the USDA National Agroforestry Center's program called Canvis. And this requires downloading a program or requesting a CD or DVD. It gives you the ability, as we talked about earlier in the presentation, to create those visual simulations of potential management options using digital photographs. And I've got some examples to sort of show you how this can be used. Again, just as we've done with every program, you're able to get your keywords that you could search. And I did mention this early on. The reason we have the keywords are the links like you're going to see here. The links tend to change. And so that's just with updating and the way things are. The keywords are in there, so if the link doesn't work because something's changed for Canvas Online, then you're able to put in these keywords to get to the program or online application. Again, just another way to help you move forward and not get hung up because something doesn't work. Again, this program is for users that with an interest in creating some type of visual simulation, potential management options using digital photographs. And so a lot of people tend to not think much of this, but I think it's a great resource and for what you can do, and the examples will help show you that. It's a free program. Requires either downloading or ordering the CD. We've got links in the booklet to where you can download or where you can order. So this is an example of a field. I took a digital photograph of that. It truly is your canvas. You can paint it however you want and see what the things you would change, what the management options would actually look like on the ground. You can edit the photos, you can add trees, shrubs, grasses, ground cover, or you could remove shrubs, trees, buildings. You can go either way with it. And you can use a series of these photographs to show a simulation of before and after these potential management options like planting trees, shrubs, thinning a stand, or adding a fence. Again, just examples to get you started. To me, a picture can really make the difference in making these decisions and seeing what these options will look like. More example simulations can be found at this site that's in the booklet, and I'll show you a couple here. So this is an example. If you've got an area and you've planted trees along the road for a barrier, you can put in one to see what it's going to look like in the future as those trees grow. This is one I really like. So imagine you take a picture of a stand and you want to thin it. You can actually take trees out to see what it will look like if you make changes like that. An example, if you have a piece of land and you want to convert that to changing from trees and to a open field. And so again, you're able to make these types of changes in this program and be able to show somebody a before and after. This was my little example just for the booklet to show, what if you want to do something like silvopasture? You wanted to put trees out there in your pasture and be able to use timber production with your agriculture. And so again, you're able to you can choose all different types of tree types. You can even customize them and again, put them out there, space them around different ways and see what it will look like. So hopefully you'll take away from this, what are some applications that you could see this program being used for? What would you use it for? Again, our same questions, which hopefully we're opening your mind up to the different options that are out there. Canvas is downloaded with a detailed guide and training movies. Again, another great resource. The training videos are really great. You can sit down. They actually take you step by step through a lot of good examples. And there are also some publications that are out there that you can get to read more about this program. So as we're moving through and we're about to finish up, I know we're going to take questions at the end, and I've got a few slides after these, but what I wanted you to do sort of to help you organize your questions. Think about, with creating maps with aerial photography, soils information, and topo backgrounds, if you have any questions there. Being able to store points, lines, polygons, and that descriptive information we talked about. Being able to find data online or being able to create some of these visual simulations. Think about if you have any individual questions for the Web Soil Survey, for Google Earth, the Alabama Historic Photo Archive, the Geospatial Data Gateway, or Canvas, or any additional online mapping and spatial resources. Again, what we've highlighted in these 5 programs and online applications are really just the beginning of what's out there. There's a whole world of options and a lot of programs, a lot of great programs out there. And I encourage you to explore and look for these. Again, a couple more slides. We've done some short courses with this. Generally, they're one-day, hands-on, to introduce attendees to the booklet and help them move through each topic with the introductory information, and then give them the ability to have instructor-led examples for their properties of interest. And again, all examples and exercise really focus on real-world forestry and natural resources applications. We had one here at Auburn School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences back in March, and then we had another one in Andalusia, Alabama for the Solon Dixon Forestry Education Center. Another thing for your questions, please let me know if you're interested in having a short course presented near you or another webinar. We'd love it. We're trying to get this out as much as possible, again, to help landowners and land managers be able to utilize these programs and online applications. Future booklets and courses. We'd like to do an advanced version of this for private landowners and conservation professionals. Again, take this to the next step. Be able to utilize and create these data layers, do more digitizing or tracing around areas of interest like a stand boundary or putting points on the ground. Talk more about file conversion, being able to overlay different layers and do some more detailed reporting. We'd also like to get some products out that integrates more of GPS and GIS for private landowners. Booklets and courses are dependent on funding, support, and interest. So again, these are things to add to your questions. If you're interested in any of this or could help steer us towards some type of funding source, we'd love to do this and get this out to people. So for more information, this is also, again, this is in the booklet, or you can get it from the presentation. Contact me, Dr. John Cush or Dr. Rebecca Barlow from the lab. Again, great resources for you to be able to get more information. That brings me to the end of my time. I thank you for yours, and I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. And we're down at, I guess, 57 minutes, so I'm ready to take questions, if that's okay, Sarah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, John. So if you have a question, just go ahead and type it into the chat box, and we will try to manage them. Are there any questions? It looks...
We got a few questions, but
yeah,
people are working on them. Some of the earlier questions, just scrolling back through, somebody asked, when you're storing data, is the data stored in the application or on your computer? And that really depends. You have the ability to actually store data on your machine, as we talked about with Google Earth. How that's being stored online is something you'll have to look more in depth with Google or the program you're looking at. So looking down to the questions at the bottom. Let's see. Ooh, we had quite a few come in. Let me get back to the top. All right, so again, the data stored on your computer varies from website to website or program to program. Like Google Earth, you're able to store the points, lines, and areas actually on your machine. With the Web Soil Survey, there has been a feature that's been added since the booklet was created, where you can actually store your boundary as a shapefile. Links for North Carolina, as far as, I assume you're potentially looking for the historic photo or historic aerial photos. I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure what's out there. I know something has been released pretty much nationwide for historic topos, but I can look into that for you. If you'll send me an email, be glad to look into that. Sam, you ask, let's see, objective comparison tools for GIS viewers. Again, either viewers or actual programs. It really depends on what you want to do. What are the file types that it accepts? Does it accept files from Google Earth? Does it accept shape files from something like ArcGIS? Does it accept the types of files that your GPS unit might be able to create? Again, those are just some initials of things to think about. The next question, some counties have tax assessor websites that show property boundaries. Can those be imported and used? From what I've used and I think what the tax assessors are doing is a great thing, and a lot of those have really come online. I'd like to do another booklet really just focusing on that. Again, with most of the ones that I've seen, again, it's going to vary county to county, state by state, but you're able to, again, search out your area of interest or your property, pull it up by property name, or just be able to search around, and you're able to pull up those boundaries. I have not seen a way to directly export or import those from those programs. Generally, when you get to that, you need to contact the actual company or the county to see about getting those data, those types of those boundary files. Again, a great resource, but I haven't seen where you can actually do it directly from. Not to say it's not out there. The next question, does the booklet describe how to download GPS from the field into the GIS? It doesn't. It highlights on there's an actual tool in Google Earth where you can connect your GPS to Google Earth, either in the field if you have the capability with a laptop and wireless, or when you get back. Again, with the booklet, we were limited on how much we could get into. That is a topic I would really like to get into to move forward with you know, a lot of the wireless tools that you have out there now. But no, we do not have that in the booklet. Another question: how accurate are the points entered on Google Earth? That's gonna vary, and I would suggest if you're really looking at accuracy to put some points out there, take a GPS point, and again look back and forth. You could create a point, get the coordinates, try to navigate and see how close you are. Take a point with Google Earth or with the GPS and pull it into Google Earth and look at it. It's going to vary. It's going to vary. So again, that would be something with you as a user to take more of a look at. Another question to repeat: where to get the booklet? I think the PowerPoint's going to be, this PowerPoint's going to be available through the Alliance. Sarah, you might be able to add to that. They're recorded. I think they're out there, or JJ. Somebody on? Another option is the booklet. I cannot pull my presentation back up. If you want to, you can Google or use a search engine, type in the Longleaf Pine Stand Dynamics Lab, or type in the title of the booklet, and you're able to get to the PowerPoint there. Otherwise, the booklet will be out there, the PDF, excuse me. Otherwise, you'll be able to hopefully get to this PowerPoint soon, or we can send you a link. You can always email me at gilbejo@auburn.edu. I guess I can put that in there. So I sent mine back out. That's my email address. You can email me and I can send it to you. Back up, see if we got any more questions.
Any more questions? If not, I will go ahead and push the URL out to you all. And like I said, you just need to go to this URL or the website as it appears on your screen to finish up getting your CEUs. So I'm going to type this into the chat box. And I'll also push it out, hopefully. Thank you, John, for all your help.
Thank you very much for all yours, Sarah. You've been a great help to me. You got me going. We made it through without any technical difficulties.
And Ray, do you have a question? You can go ahead and type it in the chat box. Okay. It may take a minute or so for that URL to push. But like I said, you can also access it by clicking on the link in the chat box. And by now you should have received it actually. So everyone that's looking for CEUs, you should be set. Thanks again. Thanks, John. We can go ahead and wrap this up. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sarah.